Hello, this is Jason and welcome to the Squared Away Workshop. If you've been here before, you've probably noticed a few changes. First of all, I've got a new French cleat wall. I didn't do a video on that wall. There's a lot of videos out there available, so I didn't think that mine would be much different. I do have a few special features about my system that I'll show at the end of the video, but if you'd like to see more, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you've been here before, you probably noticed that it's been a while since I've done a video. There's been a lot going on in my life, a lot going on in my personal life, but also here in Louisiana, we just went through a pretty bad hurricane season, and Hurricane Ida came through and did a lot of damage. Fortunately, there was no damage to my house, but there's a lot of damage to the local area. When I'm not in my shop and I'm not at my full-time job, I do have a small business, and my business provides customer service and sales to, I used to do fencing, but now because of the high demand and storm damage, I've now moved into doing quotes and estimates and sales for a local roof company. So if you're in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, or surrounding area and you've got damage to your roof, let us know at Teal Roofing. I'm going to put the link below. So today's project is not for the shop. I'm going to do it in the shop, but it's not for the shop. It's for my truck. Stick around. I hope you enjoy. So here's my truck. Look at that beast. So as I said before, I do a lot of my work in my truck. So my truck is basically like my office. I built this box a while back just to store some paperwork and other items, and it works pretty good. The two issues that I have with it is, number one, it's kind of heavy, and in order for me to get under the seat, which I have storage under the seat here, I have to take this box out, which is why I keep it on this side. Because it stays on this side, I can't ever reach it from the driver's side, so it just makes it inconvenient. If I need to get something in here, I have to get out and go around to the back door. I'm going to try to use this space here and make a console to go from here to here. That way I can lift this seat if needed, and it doesn't interfere with the console. I also want to put a couple of cup holders here so that when somebody else is riding with me, if I have something stored in those cup holders up there, I can move them back here or just keep them in the back. Also, I want to install a power inverter on the console so that I can charge my iPad and a few other things that I have and I'll need while I'm out in the field. I'm thinking about adding something to the bottom of the console to fit into these cup holders to keep it secure. At the end of the day, I want to make the console where I can remove it if I need to. I don't always carry a lot of passengers, so the ability to have two will be good enough most of the time, but if I do need to have three, I can take the console out. So here are my materials that I'm going to use. I've got some MDF here. I've got these cup holders. I think I'm going to use two of them to put behind the center console, and then the other two I'm going to use to put at the bottom of the box to fit into those cup holders as I was showing you in the truck. I've got some adhesive back felt that I'm going to put into the slots that's going to hold some of my items, and I'm going to spray it with FlexSeal. I've used this before in another console that I built for the front part of my truck, which you'll see here. It really blends in well with the vinyl floors and just kind of gives it a neat look. So that's what I'm going to cover it with. Here are the items that I want to store in the console. I've got my iPad and I've got my pencil. I kind of went the cheap route. I've got the aftermarket pencil, so I'll have to have a place to charge it as well. It uses the same charger for the iPad and the pencil, so I'll have one charger for that. I've got my clipboard, and then if I have enough room, I'm gonna make a slot for this to store in. Here is the inverter that I want to use. I've been having it for a while, so I'm just gonna probably install it on the side, and I need to install a plug in the back seat or somewhere under the back seat so that I can just plug the inverter into and then unplug it if I want to take the console out. Here's my basic design and measurements. You'll have to excuse the sloppy drawing. I don't have all the little fancy little programs like some of the other guys have, but these are just kind of basic measurements to get me started. I'm going to kind of design and build it as I go and fit it. So some of these measurements may change, but I've got cup holders here. I'm going to probably try to make it rise a little bit. A slot for my iPad, for my clipboard, and then if I have enough room, I'll make a slot big enough for my paperwork. Okay, here's what I've got so far. I've got the bottom here. I've got the cup holders in place, and I've got this little piece extending to make it level. So let me put it in place and show you what I came up with. So it fits in there really good. So originally I was going to put the cup holders here, as you saw in my design, but the problem with that is it doesn't give you much room to put here with this, the way that this is angled. And I don't lift this up very often. I wanted to leave it low, so if I did lift this, this would be out of the way. But because it doesn't leave much room for any kind of drinks, I decided to move it back here. It's still going to be within reach of the front seat, but I think it'll be better for whoever's in the back seat to have a cup holder right here. Got this little cut open here. I'm going to make a little box for storage there. So that still gives me room for my paperwork and hopefully the iPad and my clipboard. Now I've got to put the sides on it, and I'm going to probably put the felt in before I put the sides on. We'll see how that works out. So this is the rough version. I still got to do some sanding and some cleaning up on it, but I moved some things around. I ended up putting the iPad in the back here, and then this one up front. And there you go. I've decided I'm just going to leave this open for now. I might put some dividers in it later on, depending on what I store in it. I ended up having to change the top to some 1/4 inch. I just figured it would give it a little bit better profile. I came up with something kind of on the fly. I decided to go ahead and close this off. And this was kind of an afterthought, which is why I've got this gap here. I've got to fill that in. But I'm painting everything, so a little bit of wood putty and some caulk is going to do the trick. But if you notice here, it's got this groove here. And the reason for that is I wasn't sure how I was going to store my pencil for my iPad. I got a few of these little things here. I was going to install one on the box and just slide my pencil in here. But I decided to trick it out a little bit. I noticed that the pen holds onto the iPad with a magnet. So there you go. I just took some magnets and glued it to the back here. And now it'll hold just fine right there. Now let's go put it in the truck, see how it fits, maybe do a little bit of sanding on it, and then we'll prime it, paint it, and I'll show you the final product. That looks like a good fit. Let me get to the other side and see if the lighting is a little bit better. It's not any better over here. You get the shadow of the camera. I'm probably going to install the inverter on the bottom. Hopefully it'll get enough airflow. I have to do a little bit of work on the edge here for the seat. Sorry about the lighting, but I think it's going to work just fine. So let me get it back in the shop, do some sanding on it, cleaning it up, get it ready for paint. We'll be back for the install. So here's the final product. I'm really happy with the way it came out. Everything fits really good in each individual compartment, and the pencil fits perfect. glad that worked out. This was kind of an afterthought. I went and got a 3-bank charger for USB, just so if anybody's sitting in the back seat, they'll have a place to charge their phones. I had this little bit of a gap between the seats, so I figured that would fit well. We'll see. I've got all the wires run. Everything neatly held together. So let's go put it in the truck, see how it fits. So here's where it's going to go. I had my good friends at All Pro Audio right here in Zachary install this. I was going to try to do it myself, but I figured they would do a much better job. So it came out really good. They hooked it up to the ignition, so it will turn off when I turn my truck off, but they also installed a switch in the front so I can turn it off manually. And here's the switch here, so I can turn it on and off if I'd like to from the front, even if the truck is running. So as you can see, it fits really nice. Here is the inverter. It's got really easy access, and probably the only thing I'll use it for the most part is to charge my iPad and phone and pencil, but I do want to be able to charge a battery for my drill if I'm working out in the field. And as you can see here, my battery's hooked up to the inverter and it is charging just fine. So it is doing exactly what I wanted it to do. Well, I hope you enjoyed the project. I'm really satisfied with the way that it came out. It's not perfect, but it does serve the purpose. So the one regret that I do have is the cup holders. The ones that I bought on Amazon are a little small. I really didn't think that through. Although it does fit a Diet Coke can perfectly, which is what I drink way too much of. I really should be drinking more water, and most water bottles won't fit. So I ordered a couple more, a little bit bigger size, easy fix, just cut the hole a little bit bigger and slide these in. So that's not a big deal. So as promised in the beginning of the video, I'm gonna do a real quick overview of my French cleat system here, just a few special features that I came up with. Not claiming them to be mine alone. I'm sure there's some others out there that are the same or similar, but it's some things that I incorporated into my system that I really like. So let's go over that real quick. One of the things that I really couldn't find when I was going through some videos to see how I wanted to build mine was I really wasn't in love with the way that most people store their cords. So what I did was, for each tool that has a cord, this top piece here, not really sure what you call it, it just rolls down. That way you could take the cord all off at one time and then roll that back up and wrap it, kind of like an old vacuum cleaner. The other thing that I did is I incorporated a lot of magnets, as usual. So if it has a tool that's metal, put a magnet in there, holds that tool right there, so I always know where it's at. Same thing here. All of my blades, there's a magnet strip that holds all the blades for the tool. Probably one of my most special features. I came up with this on my own. On the battery thing, you're kind of pulling on it a lot. I didn't want it to be able to move at the bottom, so I came up with this locking system, and let me take it off and show you what that does. So here's what it looks like on the back. This one here moves and this one moves. So when you put it in the cleat, this cleat here sets down into the cleat, and this one, you push it up to the bottom of the top cleat, and that locks it in place, and this whole thing is secured to both the top and the bottom cleat. Well, there you go. That's my French cleat system. Not much different than the rest, but did have a few little special features. I hope you enjoyed. Check you later.